Wait, babe, no, it's not what you think. Okay, not that kind of cheater. I would never, but I did cheat in school a few times. Twice to be exact, but before I explain, I do not condone or regularly partake in plagiarism or academic dishonesty, nor am I encouraging anyone else to do so. It's not right, it's not something to be proud of, and I was actually a really good student for the most part. I graduated valedictorian status and even went to 2 different high schools every day. A regular one, then a medical academy. I was a nerd, but not by choice. If you have strict parents, then you know what I mean. Getting a C or lower in any class meant, well, when I was in elementary school, I remember I failed this history exam and I had to get one of my parents' signatures on it. Which, sidebar, I don't even know why this was a thing in school. If you were a teacher and did this, you're Satan, you're mean, and I hope you get diarrhea in traffic. I knew I was gonna get my ass beat, but I also didn't want to get in trouble for forging a signature, so my dumbass just folded the portion with my grade and handed it to my dad. Obviously, my dad isn't as stupid as me and noticed the folded part and was not only livid at seeing an F, but even more enraged at the fact that I was trying to play him like a fool. So yeah, because of that, he then proceeded to fold me. So, the fact that I got my ass handed to me over one elementary school assignment, the thought of failing anything in high school was terrifying to me. So the very first time I cheated was for my AP Calculus BC final. As some of you guys may know, that is the highest and most difficult level of math you can take in high school. I passed AP Calculus AB my previous year, easy peasy, no problems, so I slacked off a little in BC thinking I wouldn't need to try as hard, but I made the mistake of slacking off to the point where I didn't study properly enough for the cumulative final. If you took calculus, you know there are a shit ton of formulas and theorems to remember, and I didn't have them memorized fully enough in time for the final. So I came up with a pretty risky idea. For our exams, we were allowed to use our own piece of scratch paper. So during the night before, I wrote down all the theorems and formulas down on what I was gonna use as my scratch paper. In invisible ink. I had one of those fun toy pens with invisible ink that could only be revealed using the UV light at the other end of the pen. Before our exams, the teacher would pass by us one by one to examine our desk and scratch papers for cheat notes and our writing utensils for any additional hidden notes. Obviously, there were no notes to be seen on my paper, and I hid my UV light pen between my legs underneath my skirt. UV light pens are actually really bright, so I think the only way I was able to get away with this was because of the fact that I sat in the very back of the room behind a person who was much larger than me, and you know what, that's probably why I wasn't doing well in the class, but in the end, I passed. The second time I cheated was in college. Disclaimer guys, please do not cheat in important college classes, especially if they pertain to your major and future career. Cheating in college is much more riskier than high school because you could potentially get yourself kicked from the class, failed, or even kicked from the school. But colleges take academic dishonesty much more seriously. And also, you wouldn't want a surgeon who cheated his way through school to operate on you, would you? Anyways, I cheated once in college. For an environmental health class, though.
Wait, how isn't environmental health important? Isn't it important to keep our environment healthy? How could you cheat on that?
Before this incident, I never cheated for this class, nor any other class in college. I barely even needed to study for this course, and also, it was a super easy random class that had nothing to do with my major. I just needed it to have enough credits to graduate. So why did I cheat? One exam had a large portion specifically about rodents, spiders, cockroaches, and like the life cycle of a beef tapeworm. Nasty shit. Stuff that makes me wanna like But the one part of this exam that I would not study, nor could you pay me to study, was to memorize the anatomy and organs of a cockroach. And not only were we required to know it, we had to draw the cockroach and its organs and label it. I'm sorry, like you guys, you may think I'm overreacting and being a weenie, and that may be true, but I have a deep-rooted fear and disgust towards cockroaches because of a traumatic incident I experienced as a child that I probably might make a video on later because it's just that bad. Anyways, back to the story. I was not about to engrave what I thought was the most vile thing to ever exist in my mind. So I screenshotted and printed out the cockroach anatomy page from our class notes and made it really, really small so I could tape it to my inner thigh and to wear a skirt to class. Yes, I really walked into class with a cockroach diagram taped to my thigh. And before you guys ask,
Why didn't you just do the UV light pen thing again?
I couldn't get away with the UV light pen this time because I sat in the very front of the class, which made it so hard to pull this off without looking like a clown. During the exam, when I got to the part where I had to draw the cockroach, your girl started acting out a whole ass scene. First, I stared into space to make it look like I was thinking hard. Then I put my hand to my forehead because
Big brain hoarding.
then I tilted my head down as if I were getting a headache from thinking so hard. But in reality, I was staring at the minuscule cockroach taped between my thighs. I was probably being super obvious, but what was the professor gonna do?
Show me your thighs.
Professor! So yeah, that's all the times I ever cheated in school. I swear, it's not my proudest moments, but I am kind of proud I managed to come up with that UV light pen trick and get away with it. But don't do it, kids.